Hi, I'm Nick Campbell, proud Assistant Business Manager of IBW Local 494. And today we're continuing on with our segments of interviewing our staff and getting to know our staff here at IBW Local 494. And today I'm joined by the proud Business Manager of IBW Local 494, John Jacobs. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day today, John.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
I know this is going to be a little different for you because today you won't be asking the questions. You'll be giving answers to the questions.
Correct. And then for this one, I have no idea what's coming my way, so it should be interesting.
It'll be painless, don't worry. So, first of all, John, with these interviews, we kind of want to find out what your pathway was, what you did right out of high school before you joined the IBW. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
During high school, like most of us, we heard about college or the armed forces, never heard about the trades. So for me, after high school, I signed up and attended University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Went there with the intent of graduating with a degree in business management. And I thought along with that, the perfect segue for a minor would be psychology. Needless to say, I did not graduate, but I had a wonderful 4 years, made a lot of great memories at Whitewater. But during that time, I was roofing homes during the summertime. I realized that was not gonna go very far. It was very rough on the body, especially in the 90s when the roofs went from this to this, and then you're having to carry 80 pounds on your shoulder up 2 stories. After Whitewater, I knew I'd like to build things with my hands, take pride in that. Was married at that time and talked to my then wife's grandfather, which was Hank Falkenberg, and her 2 uncles, which were Joe and Cal Falkenberg, and they were and are members of IBW Local 494. So in '93, I applied for the apprenticeship in Milwaukee. I did not get in, and then I was living in Milwaukee at the time, so between '93 and '94, I moved up to Kewaskum, and at that time, I applied for the Kettle Moraine apprenticeship program and got in 1994.
That's awesome, John. So you got in your apprenticeship in 1994, became a journeyman, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and then I guess, where did your pathway lead to getting involved with the union side of things?
So throughout my apprenticeship, I had some very good journeymen that I worked with in the field. And those journeymen made it known that you better create a habit of attending the union meetings, which in Kettle Moraine was the second Wednesday of the month. So anytime anybody asked you, hey, what do you got going on Wednesday night? You had to think to yourself, is it the second Wednesday? And if it was the second Wednesday, you're not attending whatever that is. You're gonna go to the union meeting. Otherwise, they kindly were standing with a shovel the next day for me to start digging a ditch. So I made it a habit to start attending those union meetings. And once I started doing that, I got to understand the process of the meetings themselves. I got to understand the business that took place in the office since the last union meeting, because that was reported on. And then whenever there was a volunteer opportunity, if I was able to do that, I just did. It felt like the right thing to do. So that was throughout the apprenticeship program, and on the night of graduation, I had business rep Jerry Keifenheim come up to me and ask me if I'd be interested in being a trustee on the Kettle Moraine Apprenticeship Committee. I didn't understand why at the time. I asked Jerry right then and there, why me? And he said he's been watching me, and for whatever that is worth. And so I said I'd get back to him tomorrow. And I thought about it overnight and realized that this was an opportunity for me to give back, something that I've been a part of for the last 5 years as an apprentice. This local that we're a part of, things were put in place for us, by previous generations. So what better way to give back, starting with that? So that's what I did. Served on the Kettle Moraine Apprenticeship Committee. That was my first step of involvement besides attending the union meetings.
That's awesome, John. That's how a lot of us get involved, is by just start showing up to meetings, getting involved, helping out where you can help out. And then can you go into a little bit more of how you came into the office after, obviously you were on the committee for a little while, being involved in the local. How did you come to getting a job working for IBW Local 494?
Sure. So just ahead of becoming a rep, I was asked to be part of the negotiations for the Kettle Moraine agreement, collective bargaining agreement, which I was. In 2008, Jerry Keifenheim, who was the business rep then, made his announcement that he was retiring. With that, the door was open for applications for the next business rep, and at that time it was business manager Mike Miller. So you had to submit your resumes to Mike, And I'll never forget this. I received a phone call out of the blue from one of our members, which I won't mention his name, but he asked if I was considering submitting my resume. And I said I hadn't. And he proceeded to explain to me why he felt it was important that I do, based on his observations of me. So of course I took time to think about that. I did wind up submitting my resume along with 2 other members. We got interviewed by Mike, and then ultimately the selection was made, and that took effect in 2009.
That's awesome, John. So maybe for our subscribers, you can tell us a little bit about the Kettle Moraine area and the office and that job that you took on up there and what you all did up there.
Sure, absolutely. So as the Kettle Moraine rep up there, the jurisdiction, first of all, it covers Dodge County from basically the eastern side of Highway 26. Then you got all of Fond du Lac County, Sheboygan County, and then there's some little carve-outs on top of that. But those are the 3 main counties that it covers. Business rep's position up in Kettle Moraine is pretty unique, and it's unique in a way that, looking back, I really liked it, because your hands were in everything. You, because it's a separate agreement, you're a part of that agreement as far as negotiations are concerned. It's a separate referral system, so you're handling the book system, folks that are getting laid off, folks that are getting hired. In addition, you are an organizer up there, so you're not always in the office. You're traveling that jurisdiction and visiting job sites, which I can tell you still to this day is my favorite hat to wear, is organizer. In addition to that, you're meeting the contractors that you currently have and introducing yourself and building that relationship. And let's not forget, organizing also includes bringing back former contractors or bringing on new contractors.
Yeah, and John, obviously you're the business manager, right? So your pathway didn't stop there. So how did you go from being appointed as the Kettle Moraine rep to ultimately coming into Milwaukee, and what was your pathway there?
So I was the business rep from 2009 till 2015 in Kettle Moraine. And in 2015, our former business manager, John Bezdaka, was called up by the International. And the executive board ultimately replaced John with Dean Warsh. And Dean Warsh became the business manager in 2015. And then Dean approached me and asked if I'd be willing to come down to Milwaukee and take a role there. So you got to understand, in 2015, I've got 21 years up there as an apprentice, journey wireman, now business rep, and I'm being asked to take a role down in Milwaukee. So I wound up asking Dean several questions, which is, will I be assigned additional contracts? Will I be able to work with additional members? And the answers to those questions were yes, because in the back of my mind, it was an opportunity to become a better rep. When Dean answered those questions and said, yes, you'll be assigned more contracts, you'll work with additional members, I took that opportunity and became the business rep in the Milwaukee office in 2015. A year later, this is previous to our bylaws changing, Dean had asked if I would consider being the assistant business manager. So in 2016, he asked me that. I asked the question, have we ever had an assistant business manager? And the last time we ever had one was back in 1992, but there was nothing written in the bylaws. So I told him, you know, it's added responsibility. I took that as an honor to be asked by Dean for that, and I agreed. And I'll never forget when he announced it at the union meeting. It was pretty funny. Dean made the announcement that he's asked me to be the assistant business manager, take on more responsibility without an increase in pay. And of course, everybody, you know, applause, and it was great. So, but that was in 2016. Was when I became the assistant business manager.
Okay, so that's 2016. We still haven't gotten all the way to where you are today as business manager. So what happened next?
So fast forward to 2023. Dean Warsh was asked by the International to take a role with them, and Dean ultimately did. And the same process, the executive board approached me, they interviewed me and asked me to be the next business manager in 2023, which I accepted. And then in 2025 was the election year, in which, for those that don't know, as the business manager, you are elected, or there's an election, I should say, every 3 years. So in 2025, I ran unopposed. I took that as a compliment. So locked in for another 3 years till 2028.
Awesome. John, can you tell us what's your greatest challenge?
I would say, looking back on the last 32 years, probably the greatest challenge was the economic fallout that our locals saw in 2010, and it lasted for 2 years till 2012. And as I mentioned earlier, coming in as a business rep in 2009, and then a year later the bottom falls out and you try to negotiate a contract during those times. It was not uncommon for a year in which you had a freeze in your wage. Obviously, the times we're in now are so good, which we always have to take a step back. And I personally look back at that time period of those 2 years, 2010 to 2012, when it was so bad that I'd rather have these problems that we have today than those problems back then.
Yeah, we often joke lately that we figured out and did a lot of things to help out during those challenges. Now we have a whole new set of challenges, which a lot of them are all new. We haven't dealt with the influx of work that we have right now.
And again, all good problems.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the professional side of how you came up from graduating high school, how you got into the IBEW, how you've progressed through various roles in the office here or in the union that you've held. Outside of work, family, hobbies, what can you tell us about that?
Outside of work and hobbies, family-wise too, I have a wonderful lady friend that I've known since 2010, Chris. Chris brings 5 kids, and with those 5 kids, there's 9 grandkids, and then I have, from me, my son and daughter, and they have blessed me with 3 grandkids and another one on the way. As far as hobbies are concerned, I like to wrench on a lot of stuff. Especially old things, old vehicles. I have a 1988 Supra ski boat. I have a 1989 Suzuki Katana that I've had since I was 21 years old. Old snowmobile, 2005 snowmobile. I don't know what it is with me as far as, vehicles that are old, and I just like to wrench on things. It doesn't mean like they're always breaking down. It's just they fascinate me to how long can I make these things run. I like to play on the water. I love slalom skiing. I love to fish. I love the deer season, the hunting season. I love as far as what Wisconsin provides in the 4 season. It gives me plenty to do. I'm never bored. Golf, sure, I can get out 2 times a year, Father's Day and the union outing. That's about it. I would like to do more, but it's just not possible.
Okay, all right. So now normally we ask you, tell us one thing unique about yourself, but we're going to skip that part of the segment today. And we're going to go to the number 1 subscriber question that we get. Everybody wants to know, what's with the hair and how do you make the hair so perfect in all these videos that you do? What's that process look like?
That is the curveball question. That's great. Well, I can tell you it's not natural. There's some hair product. There's no doubt about it. Do I take my time to look nice? Sure, absolutely, yes. And it's Aussie, the purple can.
Okay.
Extra hold.
Okay, that's perfect. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. And I guess I got one final question for you, John. What would you tell a new member or a young member about you being the business manager, and what words of encouragement or what would you have to tell them about how they can get more involved in their union or in their career?
I just celebrated 32 years this past May, and it's enjoyable to look back in the story I just described of, I can tell you as an apprentice, I would have never thought I'd be in this role today, right? But the beautiful thing about being in this union and the brotherhood and the sisterhood was having people see things in you that I personally was not seeing, right? Like that phone call I got about putting my name in as a business rep, or Jerry approaching me about the JATC committee. I would have never thought to do that. It was that personal ask that people saw in me to consider taking that next step, right? So I would say to that young person, that young John, right, that if somebody's telling you something, that they see something in you, listen to them, because you may not realize it, but somebody that's more seasoned is, that you should give it strong consideration, whatever that ask is. But it comes down to the basics, like I described earlier, the union meetings, as you highlighted as well. The union meetings is very important to attend. The ask is once a month, right? It's all of our members' union meeting, right? It's our union as members. So why not get involved, even if it's just the basic, to listen to what type of business occurred since last month. And believe me, it does open the door when you start attending on a regular basis. You hear and see the different affinity groups that you can get involved with, the different volunteer opportunities, the upcoming social events, just the simple camaraderie, right, of seeing your fellow sisters and brothers since last month. Hey, what's been happening since last month? It's a great time to get together too.
Well, thanks, John. That concludes our interview for today. And thank you for taking the time to tell us a little bit about yourself. And to all the subscribers out there, be safe out there until the next episode.